situation, and it could go back to the battered woman thing. You don't know. I don't know.
Well, L.A. County District Attorney Gil Garcetti actually announced immediately that the brothers will be retried. And the second trial was somewhat less publicized, partly because Judge Stanley Weisberg refused to allow cameras in the courtroom. And during the second trial, Weisberg did not allow much defense testimony about the sexual abuse claims, and also would not allow the jury to vote on manslaughter charges rather than murder charges. And I mentioned the judge earlier playing a part in this. I actually met this judge because think about how he steered the ship here. And I feel like, maybe you guys can verify it for me, but I feel like this trial and the verdict was post O.J. Simpson verdict, and the city of L.A. and the state of California felt a little embarrassed about how that went, and they felt like they needed to make sure that, I don't know, this is just speculation, that, you know, quote unquote justice was done here. I don't know. Maybe I'm reading too much into it. That's kind of what I thought. When I see
Weisberg,
the way they handled
judge, didn't the second judge, wasn't he over the on the Rodney King judge? Or was that the first one?
I don't know. I know we know that OJ's judge was different. That was Judge Ito. but
yeah,
I don't know about this.
I think the second judge, I remember reading something about the second judge. Can't remember the name of it, but I thought that he was, I remember the thing about not allowing court TV in there and such, but I also remember that I thought that he was the same judge that presided over Rodney King as well.
Interesting. Blake, can you effort that for us real quick and find out if that's true?
Yeah, give me just 1 minute, guys. Continue with your talk, and then I'll join you back in just a moment after I look at that.
No problem. He'll look that up and verify, because that's fucking interesting.
Mm-hmm.
So, but it makes sense. I mean, you know, it's not like you're gonna have 50 judges here. Okay, so
LA at that time was a pretty crazy time, right?
No shit. Well, both brothers were convicted in this trial of 2 counts of first-degree murder and conspiracy to commit murder. And in the penalty phase of the trial, the jury chose sentences for the brothers of life in prison without the possibility of parole rather than death. And as soon as Blake gets back, I want to talk about that a little bit, because I feel like that. I feel like that's the subject unto itself, because I'm a big believer in the death penalty. I know people always talk about what you can learn from people who commit crimes like this, but it's a weird situation. And I mean, they may have testified themselves right out of the death penalty is what they did. Maybe they could get themselves out of jail time or prison time, or prison for the rest of their lives, but their testimony alone probably got them away from the death penalty. Johnny, I'll ask you first. What do you think about the sentence here? You know, does Judge Weisberg actually sentenced the 2 to life in prison without the possibility of parole, and he sentenced them to consecutive sentences for the murders and the charges of conspiracy to commit murder. So basically, the deal is they're never fucking getting out.
Right. Yeah, I mean, you and I can differ on death penalty. I don't. It's a matter of, you know, it gets into that argument whether or not what is the purpose of the punishment? Is it meant to be punitive, or is it meant to be restorative? Right. So I'm fine with him never getting out of jail, or either one of them getting out of jail. I'm not a big proponent. I'm not going to lose sleep over it if they get a death penalty, but I'm not going to be voting for it.
Yeah. Yeah. Again, I think when murders are obvious and they're apparent, and, you know, it's obviously in cold blood, and there's more than one type of thing, or it's a police officer, things that aren't just random, you know, I caught my wife in bed with somebody and I killed them both. And I'm talking about things that are premeditated. Usually, I would say, fuck them. Put them to death. I don't care. I don't want to pay for them. They don't deserve to breathe our air anymore. And that's a whole different debate for another day.
Hey guys.
Yep.
What's up?
Oh, I was just going to let you know, Stanley Weisberg did preside over Rodney King and Lyle and Eric Menendez. Yeah, okay. He did.
Wow. Go ahead, Johnny.
Yeah, I
I'm
thought
sorry.
so. Sorry. No, I thought that was around that same area at the same time. But,
Great
what was his name?
That's why you're the pro, buddy. Stanley Weisberg.
Weisberg. That's it. Yeah, Weisberg. Because there was a couple of names back then. Weisberg and Ito, right? Were the big names back then.
Ito.
Yep.
So I asked Johnny this, and I want to ask you, Blake. It goes to trial. They both get convicted. They don't get the death penalty. They get, life without the possibility of paroled, for all the things that they did. What are your thoughts on sentencing, and what do you think they should have gotten in the end? I mean, if you're sitting there and you're the judge, what do you think?
I think that life in prison without parole was a good call on the judge's part because since the claims of the molestation couldn't be verified, but some abuse could be verified, I think that was taken into consideration. Obviously, he was going to punish them because they killed their parents. And you don't kill your parents. Doesn't matter what they do to you. That's sort of like the golden rule, one of the 10 commandments that, honor thy mother, thy father. But obviously that didn't happen with these guys. So I think that was a good call because you just can't be sure. And I think that them not being around their money and having the ability to access money and be affluent in society, the judge thought maybe that was a good punishment as well. Personally, it's hard to say on death penalty or not in my case. I mean, usually people are like an eye for an eye, tooth for a tooth, but I don't justify the taking of anyone's life. I would never kill anyone. I mean, you know what I'm saying? So it's really kind of, I guess, a matter of personal preference. I think there's too much violence in the world as it is, and I don't see how giving somebody the death penalty satisfies anybody but maybe the victims' families if they're someone else. Like if the boys had killed some random people, and they might see some justice to the death penalty because they won't get their children back, so these guys shouldn't be able to live either. It's just a matter. It's a really, really touchy subject. But yeah, I think that was a good call on the judge's part because they're never going to get out. Obviously, I mean they're never going to get out. They're 50 now. If they did let them out for some strange miracle, who's to say that somebody wouldn't pick up on who they are and go after them because they think they might still have money, or because they love their parents and they're so pissed off somebody else killed theirs that they're going to kill them. Or something. Who's to say that they wouldn't become victims themselves or something? So I don't see either way it going good for them. Being in prison, they're away from society. Being out in society, I think that would be like giving them a death penalty because people would know who they were, and anybody else that might have been close to Jose and Kitty might come after them. Because he did have, he was in the entertainment industry, and might have had connections. Obviously, we see in the news that the entertainment industry is suffering right now because of, accusations of this, that, and the other, which I can't speak to any of that. I wasn't there, but I know that every business has shady, the people that can be shady. There can be some shady things happening. So I think that was a good call because they're still getting punishment. Justice is served as far as them not having freedom. Their parents are dead, but, they know they'll never have the opportunity to be parents themselves or, to have that same kind of thing. So there's still punishment, So let me get off my soapbox before I draw this out.
Well, so as had been done during their pre-trial detention, you're okay, buddy. The California Department of Corrections separated the Menendez brothers, sent them to different prisons. Both brothers were classified as maximum security inmates and were segregated from the other prisoners, I assume because they're public targets. And they remained in separate prisons until February 2018 when Lyle was moved from Mule Creek State Prison in Northern California to the Richard J. Donovan Correctional Facility in San Diego, which has nearly 3,900 male inmates several housing units. From February until April, they were housed in separate units. On April 4th this year, Lyle was moved into the same housing unit as Eric, reuniting them for the first time since they began serving their sentences nearly 22 years earlier. Fuck, I didn't know they were together. But both brothers burst into tears and embraced at their first meeting in the housing unit. And they are free to visit each other as any two inmates are in this housing unit. The unit where they are housed is reserved for inmates who agree to participate in educational and other rehabilitation programs without creating disruptions. You know, it's a really weird thing. Most of the time when somebody commits murder like this, I'd be like, fuck them. Leave them separated. I don't know. There's something about it to me that I'm kind of glad that they're able to be near each other. I don't know why. I don't know. I guess because there's a part of me that really does believe that they were abused in some way or fashion. It doesn't make what they did okay at all. But I really do, on some level, think they were.
Yeah, I mean, I can see that. And like I said, I can't speak to whether or not they had any sexual abuse. I can speak to the fact that they were disturbed, obviously. I could speak to the fact that it appears that there was some, a home life could be a bit, rough around the edges at times. And I mean, they had problems, obviously, but I don't know. I don't have enough information. It's weird because being the product of an abusive family and being a victim of that thing, you would think that I would see more, I guess, be more empathetic towards their plight or sympathetic towards their plight, but I'm not. I think that it's good that they could see each other because they're probably the only family they have left. Everybody else is either not going to have anything to do with them or is probably dead, from our older age or whatever, and they didn't have other siblings.
Hey, Blake, they actually do have family members that do associate with them. So I think somebody must have felt.
Well, I mean, yes, somebody does, but I mean, eventually somebody's going to die. Eventually they will die.
Well, I remember reading something about the prosecutor, the district attorney, even recently, like the past few years, when they did a recent special on him, that she was still convinced that there was no sexual abuse. She just didn't believe it was credible. Yeah. But I didn't watch the case on TV, so I didn't really see it. I mean, they were pretty believable. They did a lot of crying on that tape.
It's just one of those things where it's like, I really kind of want to believe their testimony, but on the other hand, they also fucking cried on the police phone call. So it's like, I don't know what to think,
That's
so,
true.
I don't know.
And there was a Barbara Walters.
Well, that could be argued. I mean, that could be argued. You cry on the police call because, believe it or not, if something was to happen to, say somebody that you knew that had abused you, that was close to you, or something like that, and you had been around them any length of time and they had been in your life, you would probably still feel something, even if it was panic or relief. You would cry, or something like that. I mean, it's believable, and I believe things happen to the boy or them. And I don't know if it was sexual, but something happened. Something went wrong somewhere because they were given money and opportunity, where a lot of other people wouldn't have it in that same way, and it was misused. So something happened somewhere, but they still didn't kill their parents, So I mean, you can't kill people. I mean, if it's like if you were abused and you killed someone that was abusing you, and it wasn't for self-preservation, like you just killed them because you were tired of their shit.
Well,
that
can I
would
chime
not
in
be
on
the
that
same
real
as
quick?
I killed him because he was going to kill me. Yeah.
I want to chime in on that real quick. That was actually their defense. They didn't see people always, and I get this because I do too. They focus on the abuse and all that shit as the reason for it, but they never said that's why they did it. They said that they were in imminent danger. They thought, this is what they claimed, and this is the part I don't believe at all. They believed their parents were going to kill them or have them killed, because like this whole one of them threat to let the whole cat out of the bag about Jose molesting the other one.